And Matthew Sniffen, take it away. He's unmuted. He's good. Okay, thank you, Matthew.
Okay, if you notice, I just took my surgical mask off. So we are having this corporate emergency during the pandemic, and we are social distancing. Normally this room would have a lot more people in it. We are social distancing, so we have folks in various rooms and using technology to connect us. So that's how we are exercising ourselves during the pandemic. So as Jamie said, I'm Matt Sniffen. I'm Vice President of Emergency Preparedness, and I'm going to talk about our restoration efforts. We have made some excellent progress in our restoration of customers since the storm struck yesterday. I can announce that on Sunday night we'll restore service to the vast majority of our more than 300,000 customers who lost service. Across our system, we have already restored more than 142,000 customers. We expect about half of our customers restored by morning. We've restored over 30,000 customers in Westchester, 34,000 on Staten Island, 25,000 in Brooklyn, 21,000 in Queens, and 4,500 in the Bronx. We have an army of crews in the streets restoring power. Along with 500 of our own workers, we have over 500 contractor and mutual aid resources. We'll have even more workers on the street tomorrow as mutual aid and contractors continue to arrive. We'll have the quick pace of restoration is due to a good work of our crews. We've had quite a summer. First working through a pair of heat waves and now restoring impact by the second largest storm-related outage in our company's long history. Along with restoring power.
Saying how many are restored, but it has.
So I'll continue. Along with restoring power, we're communicating with our customers in every way we can. We send text messages to customers in all our service areas except Manhattan, where the storm has had no impact since the system is completely underground. The messages remind customers to be prepared and to report on outage by simply replying out to the text. We've sent over 1.5 million text messages and robocalls. 140,000 customers reported outage online. And that's important because we can then communicate through that same medium back to them. The damage from the storm was extraordinary. We worked to clear trees that have blocked over 500 roads. We have reports of over 7,000 wires down. It's most important that the public hear our message about avoiding downed wires. Do not go near them. You may think they're not energized, but they can be energized even though they don't appear to be, and they're not sparking. Believe every wire is alive and do not touch it. Let the experts make them safe. If you see down wires, please call Con Ed at 1-800-75-CON-ED or your local police department. I'll now take questions.
Okay, Matthew Sniffen, thank you very much for that. I just want to ask you if you could repeat the very top of your opening. I think we may have had a little audio glitch at the very top of what you said, the numbers about the estimated time of restoration. If you could just repeat that for us, because that's very important.
Okay, so we've made excellent progress in restoration of customers since the storm struck yesterday. I can announce that by Sunday night, we will restore service to the vast majority of the more than 300,000 customers who lost service. Across our system, we've already restored more than 114,000 customers. We expect to have about half of our total customers restored by tomorrow morning. We've restored 30,000 customers in Westchester, 34,000 on Staten Island, 25,000 in Brooklyn, 21,000 in Queens, and 4,500 in the Bronx.
Okay, Matthew, thank you very much. And now we're going to open the floor for any questions. If you've never used this feature before, if you go down to the bottom of the participant screen, you can raise your hand. We're going to recognize any working journalists here who've got a question for Matthew Sniffen, the Vice President of Emergency Preparedness for Con Edison. Okay, I see Michael Herzenberg of New York One. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Michael Herzenberg, go ahead.
Hello, thanks. Lots of complaints from people on social media and elsewhere about a lack of communication on the part of Con Edison as far as when service will be restored. Some saying they're not getting text messages back when they participate in that. When they try, they can't actually email because they don't have power, so they may have run out of batteries. And when they call on the phone, they're getting voicemail. And elected leaders also complaining. Stephen Matteo in Staten Island, city council member, says this has been not sufficient response, and communication has been poor. And of course, the governor also made a statement saying he wants an investigation because this has been a failure on the part of Con Edison.
So we are focused on restoration. We are going through our process, which involves the safe restoration of power. So there's a lot of things that have to be done. As I said yesterday, we have to assess the damage. We're going to wait till after the storm passed to start that process. We started at about this time yesterday. So in 24 hours, we've made a lot of progress. But it's important that as we are building the information, that's when we'll be able to accurately communicate to our customers. So today we're announcing what we feel will have the vast majority of the customers back. Every day now we'll give job-specific estimated time of restoration to those customers that we believe will be restored and when they'll be restored. So more information will be coming out. I empathize with folks. We rely on power as customers. We know the importance of having power, and we want to do everything we can to get the power restored as soon as possible. But we must do it safely. That's the most important thing.
Okay, Michael, thank you for that question. I just want to also say, I don't know if you were here yesterday, Michael, but Matthew gave us a briefing yesterday afternoon. He's prepared to to answer any questions here today, and we'll be here tomorrow, and until this job is done, we'll be here to answer any questions from the press. Okay, I've got a question now from Alexandra Bauman. I'm going to ask Alexandra Bauman to unmute yourself if you can, and go ahead and ask your question to Matthew Sniffen.
Hi there, Ali Bauman from WCBS TV. One of the main problems that we've been hearing from customers as well is kind of a lack of communication with Con Ed and the municipalities in terms of removing tree limbs before coming in and using or taking care of the down wires. So how is Con Ed, communicating with customers, as you mentioned before, but also making sure that they're coordinating with the towns and which each municipality to get the job done correctly?
So as part of our program, we actually dedicate both a liaison and crews to the municipalities. The liaison is there to make sure we're prioritizing the restoration and the road clearing and wires down that the towns want us to do first. As we get more and more resources, we're dedicating more resources to the clearing of roads, but we are partnering with them on that effort.
Okay, sorry about that. Sile Maloney, you have the floor. We have a question from Sile Maloney.
Thank you. Hi, Sheila Maloney from Norwood News in the Bronx. Just wondering, sorry if I missed the beginning, just wondering if you could repeat the number of power outages in the Bronx, please.
There's been about 4,500 restored. That was the number I said. I believe there's still about under 20,000 out. Bronx was not hit as hard as some of the other areas, but we're restoring customers there as well.
Thank you. So 20,000 out in total, and you've restored 4,500?
We've definitely restored 4,500. That's the number I did read. I think the total was in the range of 20,000, 20 to 25,000 total.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Maloney. And now we're gonna take any more questions now for Matthew Sniffen. I don't see a question. If you're looking to ask a question here, you can go to the participants feature. You can raise your hand. Again, we had a briefing yesterday. We're going to have a briefing tomorrow if need be. Okay, Michael Herzenberg, we're going to allow a follow-up question from Michael Herzenberg. Go ahead. Oh, there you are. You've got it, Michael.
Thanks. Can you talk about the priority of restoration and how there are police stations and fire stations? How many of those have been without power, and are those the priorities? Tell me about the assessment process, and if you have numbers on the emergency services in places like that without power.
I don't have the exact number but they certainly are a priority as part of restoration. We work with the municipalities, we work with the city to determine some of the restoration priorities. Certainly healthcare facilities, we keep track and are automatically notified when one of those facilities have an impact. So that's part of our restoration strategy. Unfortunately, some of them are not easy repairs. There's multiple damage points, and even though they're a priority, they take a little longer to get back in service. But we are certainly aware of those outages, and we prioritize them.
Okay, thank you. We're going to now, and I'm going to apologize if I've mispronounced anyone's name, but I'm going to ask you to state your name and your news organization for us. But we have Gerson Freitas Jr. Gerson, you there? Hold on, I'm trying to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Gerson? There you are.
There you go. Yes, you're right. Thanks. I would like to please just repeat numbers in terms of what you're expecting for restoration.
So the numbers I quoted were we are currently at, we've restored about 114,000 customers, and by morning we expect about 150,000 in total to be restored. So we'll be at about the midway point of restoration. We had in total about 300,000 customers out.
Okay, so in total, 300,000 lost service, and half of that has been restored. And when do you think they will be fully restored?
So I just want to clarify, half will be restored by morning, by about 0700. You know, that's sort of when our shifts end for the morning. And we're working up to when all will be restored, but we definitely feel confident that the vast majority will be restored by Sunday night. And as we get more crews, we hope to pull that in, but we're fine tuning our numbers. Again, we're still damage assessing, so it's hard for us to get an exact number right now, but we expect that we'll get that number out soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for that question, Gerson. We're now going to go to, we have Chris Eberhardt, and then coming up after him, we have Marie French of Politico. So first, let's go to Chris. You're up. Chris Eberhardt, are you there?
Sniffen. My name is Chris. I'm from the Journal News in Westchester. Can you just give us a quick update on how Westchester's doing? When do you think the restoration is going to be completed, or what people can expect? And then if there are areas that are hit hardest and, you know, any sort of difficulties that you guys are experiencing.
So I am a Westchester resident, have been all my life. So I would say Westchester was hit the hardest, and it typically is for us. You know, the foliage up there is much greater than most of the, you know, the city areas. So not unusual that our storms are, you know, the biggest effect up in that area. We had over 100,000 Westchester customers out of service. We have restored about 20,000 already up there, and we continue to make repairs. We allocate our crews accordingly to try and get, you know, restoration done sort of on an equal basis. So we expect, you know, the vast majority of the Westchester customers to be restored by Sunday midnight.
Okay.
Anything, sorry, just real quick, anything that's prolonging the issue? Is it just you know, trees and down, you know, that sort of thing? Is that the issue?
Yeah, so it is all about trees in these type of storms. The damage it does, the big trees in Westchester take down wires and poles. There's over 400 roads still blocked in Westchester that we're prioritizing, working with municipalities like we talked before about clearing the roads. Obviously, that's a safety issue for the municipalities. So we want to focus on that, and we're working with them. But it is all about, you know, the damage done by the downed trees and the type of effect on our system, where a broken pole takes longer to repair than just putting a wire back.
Okay, Matthew, we're going to let you go now, but I want to ask, we're going to have one more question for you, and then we're going to try to wrap this up. We have Marie French of Politico New York. Marie, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, Matthew, can you just talk a little bit about the impact of the pandemic on the response? I'm particularly interested or curious if, you know, utility crews traveling from out of state have been, you know, limited in their travel because of some of the travel restrictions out there, and whether or not, you know, that impacted staging ahead of time as well.
No, it has not for us in most ways. We have crews from travel advisory states. We worked with the state on how we would bring them in, and we're following the prescribed protocols of the state's Department of Health on how to bring them in, maintain social distancing, make sure they're not interacting with the customers directly, letting our crews do that type of work. But it really hasn't had the effect on us that we had worried about. But we planned in advance. This was discussed once the day that the travel advisories were announced. We anticipated that this would happen one day, and we were ahead of it.
Gotcha. And then with cooling centers for perhaps for customers who might be impacted over the long term, I know the forecast right now is not to get too hot, but are there plans or what are the plans for customers to be able to maintain social distancing and get, the services they would need?
Really, that's the city handles most of that. All along, they've been working with us on alternate plans for cooling. The city had a program on handing out air conditioners because they didn't want folks coming out and going to cooling centers, and there would be a challenge there. So when there is outages at cooling centers, we prioritize them as the city. We work with the city on that type of stuff as well.
Okay, Marie French, thank you for those questions. And I want to thank everybody here who joined us yesterday at our briefing with Matthew Sniffen yesterday afternoon, and today at today's briefing. And I expect we're going to probably do another one of these tomorrow. But until then, I'm going to give you the phone number for the Con Edison Media Relations Department. It's 212-460-4111. If you didn't get your question in, or if you have another question, or if you have any question, we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We want to thank you for your time. Matthew Sniffen, thank you. We're going to let you get back to work, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, everybody. Be safe.
Thanks, everybody.